What's up, everybody? I want to make a quick video about the events that took place today in Utah and the fatal assassination of Charlie Kirk, and just kind of how it's hitting me. I'm pretty shook about it, honestly. One of the motivations for this channel, and just one of the motivations that I have in my life, is to be positive and to put my best foot forward and to, be on the side of good and truth and, righteousness to the best of my ability. Because I went through a long period of time in my 20s where I was given to negative behaviors, anger, resentment, self-destruction. I saw what came of behaviors motivated by negativity and evil, frankly. One of the frustrations that I've run into in life has been dealing with people that I would go so far as to say are themselves motivated by evil forces, and one of the difficulties of the righteous person is to not meet negative behaviors with negative behaviors, is to, turn down the temperature on, insightful, that is to say, language that incites negative behavior, those kinds of discussions, turning the temperature down on that, like, being reasonable when the people that you are in conversation with are not, being kind to those that would be unkind to you, that the kind of the Christian ethic of turning the other cheek, right? Not hurting the world back the way that it hurt you. This has been a core part of my kind of evolution in my life, and it's what I want to share with the people that want to improve their life, because I stand on good evidence that choosing to take the hero's path of, instead of wanting to hurt the world the way it hurt you, the way a villain does, choosing to try to protect other people from being hurt the way that you've been hurt. That's what a hero does. And so this has been something that's very core to my, motivational structure for a long time. And, you can watch my videos. So it hits me some kind of way when I see a young man who's younger than I am, smarter than I am, more articulate than I am, a beautiful soul, Charlie Kirk. And I don't give a fuck if you disagree with his politics. That's beside the point. A person who, in good faith, would go to college campuses and debate young people and give them their platform and let them speak their mind and talk about particularly incendiary topics like, gender confusion and ideology and trans, manifestos and whatever else. Forgive me, but I'm just kind of all out of patience for tiptoeing around this kind of stuff. And, particularly, rallying topics for the political left in this country, like DEI and victimhood and identity politics. And he did a really good job of allowing constructive debate to happen. And that's beautiful. And that's in keeping with the tradition of, the ethos and the logos, the Greek tradition of democracy upon which the United States as an experiment has existed for 250 years. We lose that at our peril. And that, the very soul of the United States, of the Western foundation of civil liberty and freedom, while the indoctrinated will screech at the top of their lungs that they're persecuted, is a harbor for, right? The psychos that think that the West is an evil patriarchal tyranny can go live in, in Palestine. They can go live in, Oman and see how they're treated. Because in the United States, the aspirational goal has always been to be a place of liberty and justice for all. And while that is imperfect, it's a heck of a good goal. And this assassination of Charlie Kirk, to me, is a very bright line, a very clear line in the sand where, it's not okay to conflate words with violence. It's not okay to proclaim victimhood and advocate for violence in the absence of violence having been done to you. Listen, it's a place where we have the rule of law. And, something that's frustrated me endlessly, it feels sometimes, is the rhetoric in this country around neo-Marxist, communist, anti-Christian, anti-white, anti-heterosexual, anti-male, anti-American hate that purports to be moral based on its victimhood as identity. And nobody should be victimized. Nobody should be unjustly had violence done upon them. Any reasonable, decent human can agree on that. But we're to a place in this country that the temperature has risen to a point where young people have been so, largely young people and others. I mean, I don't know. I suppose I would be interested to see the statistics of people that would show markers for political radicalism. That is to say, somebody who promotes violence against their political opposition, extrajudicial violence, right? If you think somebody should be tried for a crime, more power to you. We have a justice system for a reason. But if you think that doing violence upon those that you deem your political enemy is okay, then it's important to understand that you are a harbinger. You are a part of what would destroy civilization. This is stuff that moves culture to a place of barbarism and clan blood feuds and unimaginable violence and suffering. And it frustrates me that the reasonable, frankly, the working class has been unable to stop this rising tide of political radicalization. And frankly, the mainstream media seems to be doing it as their job. I just watched Asmongold's video and he makes a great point. Anybody who's terminally online knows that Twitter and Blue Sky and Reddit are absolutely abdicating their responsibility to moderate violent behavior, calls for violence, to continue to whip up this kind of political just manipulative, emotionally targeting, radicalizing discourse. And I maintain my motivation that being a good person, doing one's best to stand on reason and kindness and work hard for a just goal and not ever choosing to dole out violence to others is the pathway forward. And it is extremely demoralizing to me to see the violence play out as it has been recently. And it seems to be all coming from leftists. We've seen several noteworthy cases of particularly unhinged and deranged individuals carry out these horrific acts. And I just need to get my thoughts out there. Um, I'm done pandering to those that would advocate for violence against me. I'm not interested in kowtowing or, in my posture submitting to those kinds of ideologues that would destroy me if given the chance. I'm capable, I'm competent, I have the capacity for violence. I choose not to engage in it because I know what it is. But I am now to the point where I feel very clearly that I have to be ready to defend myself and my family, because I see just how just how out there and unhinged and unpredictable the radicals are. And it just kind of makes me recalibrate a little bit. And I still will fight the good fight, that is to say nonviolence and constructive debate. But I've just had my head down for a long time out of fear of upsetting the woke mob, and I just don't give a shit anymore. It's clear that they are bad actors. It's clear that they will engage in assassination and cold-blooded murder of those like Charlie Kirk who did not deserve that. And so I think the centrists and the kind of libertarians and the classical liberals are gonna kind of reevaluate their posture, myself included, to be willing to speak to these radicalized people and frankly just kind of put them in their place. And that is to say, there are certain inalienable rights in this country, among them life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, of course, but life being seminal. And anybody that would threaten your life deserves to rot in prison. And I don't mean threaten in some sort of abstract way, like if you're going to keep my people down, you should, I'm talking about people that are really willing to engage in the capacity for lethal violence need to be dealt with, or our society is going to crumble. And when I say dealt with, I mean in the justice system, maintaining the rule of law. It just feels like a big turning point that lawlessness and ideology and identity politics and frankly just emotional thinking and all this bullshit about safe spaces and conflating words with violence and things like this need to end, because we need to protect the lawful United States for generations to come. And I just hope that we can do that for the sake of our children and our children's children. This country is a great place, and I don't care about your politics. I just don't. If you're a good person, God love you, and I will respect all those who respect me, and I'll even do my darndest to respect those that disrespect me. But I won't allow people to hurt me or mine. That ends. That's not okay. I don't know. I just feel terrible to have seen such a clear tragedy and to recognize so clearly what caused it and the forces that foment this kind of motivational structure. And frankly, I know people that are given to this kind of, the groups that are celebrating the assassination, as disgusting as that is to even recognize. So, I'm hopeful, reasonable, minds can prevail in a culture that seems polarized to the point of self-destruction. And I appreciate you guys watching. And, keep your head up. Don't let yourself become the kind of person that would engage in horrific acts. It's never worth it. God bless you guys. Peace.